Welcome to Football with Cheese. In today's video, we're going to go over some different strategies that general managers use when it comes to the draft. I say today's video. I'm making two, going to be 3 a day draft week. So in this video, we'll just use that. Just make sure you are subscribed if you have not. Turn the bell for notifications so you never miss a video. So let's get right into it. The first general manager I want to talk about is Bill Polian. He built the Bills teams in the early 90s, went to 4 straight Super Bowls. Not going to really go over that because I was too young to really watch the draft back then. And then he was the Panthers GM for the expansion team, and then he took over for the Colts. His first pick was Peyton Manning in 1998. And Bill Polian, here's how he would approach the draft. I read this online. He would give a grade to every single player, either first round, second round, third round, fourth round, all the way to 7th. And what he would do, if he was running out of first round players, he would trade up. For example, say the Colts are picking 29th, and he only had 16 players with first round grades, and it's pick 23, and he's got one player left. They still had a first round grade on. He's going to try to move up to 23 to get that player. He believed in moving up for specific players that he had a higher grade on. And you'll see the second guy did the opposite. Tony Dungy actually didn't like that philosophy when he was there. He wanted to trade back and do more of the Ted Thompson way, which we'll get to in a second. And Bill Polian also focused on certain positions high in the draft. He loved to take wide receivers and running backs and once a tight end early on. He wanted to give Peyton Manning weapons. And he wanted to use first round picks to do it. Let me give you some examples. Now, he had success early on with this, and the Colts under his tenure went to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. Like I said, all 3 of these guys I'm going to talk about had success. He drafted Peyton Manning, obviously. In 2001, he took Reggie Wayne, great pick, first round. Dwight Freeney the next year, edge rusher, great pick. Dallas Clark, the tight end. Bob Sanders in 2004, that was a second-round pick. They didn't have a first-round pick, but Bob Sanders, what a great player. If you don't remember him, he was hurt a lot. But when he was out there, the Colts defense was a different defense. And when they won the Super Bowl, he was in his prime. He was playing outstanding. So that was a good pick. He missed a few here, but he took Joseph Adai in 2006, running back from LSU. That was not a good pick. They did win a Super Bowl with him, but he didn't have a long career at all. So this is where it started going downhill. He took Anthony Gonzalez the next year, wide receiver, Ohio State. He was a good player. He just got hurt, but it was a bust because he did get hurt. He had a short career. And then in 2009, this was when you knew it just wasn't working out. He took Donald Brown, running back, Connecticut. He had just taken a running back 3 years before. It was the 3rd time he'd taken a running back in the first round under that tenure. That's a lot. By the way, I forgot to mention, he did take Edgerrin James in 1999. That worked out. He was a really good running back. But Donald Brown just was not a great player. It was a reach. Obviously, Polian had a first-round grade on him, but I don't know many others that did. And one of the reasons I think he takes a lot of running backs is most teams don't value the running back position in the first round. So that's the player that's still left at the end of the first round where the Colts usually picked. So if there's one player left on his board that has a first-round grade, it's probably a running back. So, yes, the problem with that strategy is you're not going to have depth if you trade up a lot. You're not going to have as many picks. There were years where the Colts had some injuries and had no depth. It hurt the defense, and one year it really hurt the offensive line. Peyton Manning was running for his life. So that strategy can cause problems with depth, and you're not really attacking premium positions with first-round picks. He did take an edge rusher in Freeney, but you notice no offensive line in the first round that I saw, unless I missed one. But he did go to 2 Super Bowls and he won 1. So that's Bill Polian's strategy. The second one I want to talk about is Ted Thompson from Green Bay Packers. He was the GM for about 13, 14 years, I think. His first pick was Aaron Rodgers. Polian's first pick was Peyton Manning. Ted Thompson sat at pick 24, and Rodgers fell in his lap. You got to make that pick. He just... Okay, I'll take Aaron Rodgers. He's the best player in the draft. Falls to 24. All right, I'll take him. But what Thompson did is he inherited a team that just wasn't very talented. They still had Brett Favre, so they were still good, but it was not a great roster. So he traded back whenever he could, got more picks, would pick between 12 and 14 players, knowing you're not going to hit on every pick. But if you have enough of them, you're going to hit on some of them. And then he rarely used free agency. Bill Polian rarely used free agency too. None of these GMs used free agency much. This is just about the draft. But he rarely used free agency, and he tried to re-sign his own guys. He would draft guys that fit his system and try to re-sign them early before free agency at lower costs. And the third guy did that as well. We'll get to that. And Ted Thompson did not draft receivers or running backs ever in the first round. He drafted defense, quarterback, or offensive tackle. That's it. Those are the positions he valued in the first round. Completely different from Bill Polian, but both worked. And what was great about Thompson is the Packers were deep year in, year out for a while. When they won the Super Bowl, 15 players won injured reserve. And they still won because of all that depth. For a while there, Thompson didn't have a bad draft. Like some of his drafts, 3 years later, everyone he drafted was still on the team. Or maybe one wasn't. And it started going wrong, though. Let me pull it up here. I have the Colts up here. In 2015, he drafted Demarius Randall, Arizona State defensive back with the first pick, and Quentin Rollins, defensive back, Miami of Ohio, the second pick. Terrible picks. They needed corner help, and they were total busts. And the next year, he did draft Kenny Clark. Great pick. He's still on the team. But he didn't get much else. And then 2017 was a disaster because TJ Watt was available. They traded down instead. Took Kevin King, defensive back, Washington. Total bust. He was terrible. And the second round, Cooper Kupp was on the board. And they needed a receiver. They needed a pass rusher. But they took safety Josh Jones, North Carolina State, who had a great combine, but he was a terrible football player. And that was his last draft. Thompson, I think, stayed around for a year as a consultant and then moved on. And the last one I want to talk about is Bill Belichick. Obviously, he had a lot of success, won a lot of Super Bowls, a couple of them at least. There was some cheating. We're not going to get into that in this video. I might do a whole video about it later, but Belichick sometimes had 80, maybe 100 players on his board. He wanted great locker room guys that would re-sign at a low rate. And if he thought there was going to be issue with the contract or they would ask for too much, he'd trade you away. I remember when he traded away Richard Seymour, defensive tackle, in his prime to the Raiders for a future first-round pick. Everyone was shocked, but that's just the way Belichick was. But Belichick did have some bad drafts. Of course, he had Tom Brady, so he still won a bunch of Super Bowls. But right at the end, his last draft was so bad. And he used his first-round pick on Cole Strange, guard, UT Chattanooga. What a horrible pick. Most people had a fourth-round grade on him. I don't think he was in the top 100 consensus board. Shocking. He took a receiver, Tyquan Thornton, from Baylor in the second round. Once again, I think he was a fourth-round consensus. And that was Belichick's last year. It wasn't just losing Brady why the Patriots went downhill. His last two drafts were just not good. And the roster still lacks a lot of talent. But obviously, all three guys had success doing it their way. There's no perfect way. And all three of those strategies have their strengths and weaknesses. Or you can just do the Jaguar way. Draft poorly for the most part. And because you draft poorly, you have no one to re-sign, so you have all this cap room. And then you sign mediocre free agents and give them a ton of money, and they don't play well. And rinse and repeat. Just keeps recycling. Jaguars have a new GM. We'll see what happens. For their fans' sake, I hope it starts getting better. So comment down below. What's your favorite strategy? Make sure you subscribe if you have not. Hit the bell for notification. Share this video with anyone who loves football so we can grow the channel. Draft is coming up. Got plenty more videos coming. Can't wait for my mock draft. Like this video and check these out if you have not. And I'll see you in the next one.